Hey everybody, it's Matt Shares, CEO of SBI, here for another episode of the Revenue Growth Help Desk, and I'm thrilled to welcome Jim Kruger. So Jim, great to see you, and excited that you and I are going to get a chance to spend some time together.
Yeah, great to see you as well, Matt. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, so Jim, maybe as a way of getting started, if you want to introduce yourself and Veeam to the audience and the listeners, and then you and I will jump in and unpack a few of these questions that have come in across the wire.
Yeah, sounds good. So, yeah, I'm currently CMO at Veeam. Veeam is a software company. We do backup of data, so data protection for a wide variety of different size companies. We actually go all the way from SMB all the way up to enterprise, and we just crossed the $1 billion mark last year. Just got purchased. Our two founders had basically ran the company up to the $1 billion mark, and then we were purchased by Insight Partners based out of New York at the beginning of the year. So that transaction closed in March, and so sort of a little bit of a new order here. The founders are still involved, helping to transition, still consulting. But yeah, we have over 375,000 customers across the world. A little bit unique in that, about 57% of our business is in Europe, and about 35%ish in the US, and then the rest in APJ. So we're a little bit different. Most people have a larger share in US. Yeah. We're trying to build that out, and one of the big reasons for the acquisition was to do that and really focus on the US market and federal space as well.
Well, congratulations. So, Jim, I know you're kind enough to field a few of the questions that we've been getting, and you and I are going to talk a little bit about how the role of the CMO over the last 90 days has really changed. It's been an evolving role over the last few years, as long as you and I have known each other. But I guess if you think about, and what a lot of folks are asking right now is, okay, it's coming up on mid-June. And if I'm looking at marketing and I'm actually thinking about like how I've shifted my strategy, I as a CMO or a chief commercial officer who owns both sales and marketing, maybe speak a little bit about how you view that and maybe a couple of the big things that you've done to continue to guide Veeam to obviously fantastic performance.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and yeah, first of all, I don't view it as like a marketing thing. It's like it's a company thing for sure. And we actually have a sometimes twice a week meeting with the CEO, myself, our legal person, our facilities person, our HR person. We all get together. We talk about what's going on, what are some of the implications, and then kind of set clear direction for the company from a communications perspective in terms of what's happening, and then also just from a sales and marketing perspective. So yeah, it's been definitely turned upside down. The team has had to be agile in a big way, and turn on a dime. We had all of our sales kickoffs at the beginning of the year, and I was actually in China in January, right before this started to happen, and so when I look back at that time, we had all of our plans in place. We had budget set aside for all these events, and we're pretty event heavy as a company, and we generate probably between 10 to 12% of our lead generation that we can track. Of course, it has a bigger impact than that, but of what we can track through leads. So as this whole thing started to come down, of course, like every other company, we're like, okay, we gotta, the sales quota doesn't go down. And so marketing quota for developing pipeline and lead generation is not going to go down. So team, we got to figure this out. And so we started to put together plans around how do we make up for these leads? How do we shift much more towards virtual orientation? How do we get creative to break through the clutter? Because every company is saying, it has a webinar, a virtual event, and they're trying to get people to come in. And so how do you break through that clutter with, third-party speakers, and how can you really connect with your customers during this time, even though you can't be with them in person? So we had some very successful virtual user group sessions that we had, where we'd get upwards of 4,000 to 5,000 people that would sign up for those. And again, just based on the content that we're had available, we've gotten, like, from a security perspective, we engaged with an former FBI person who could, come in and really talk about the security and what companies need to do. We've engaged with a former NFL player. I mean, we're like trying different things. We're doing, like, delivering meals. We're doing, poker happy hours. I mean, you name it, we're trying to come up with, like, different ideas and thoughts. And some of those have been super successful. And we're, from a lead generation perspective, we've managed to stay within 2 to 3% of our target. Which I'm super pleased with, and the team has done a phenomenal job. So, and our Q1, we were 99.9% of our target. Here in Q2, we're trailing a little bit more, but our forecast has actually stayed in play for the past 6 weeks or so. We had a really good April and a strong May, and we're actually still showing year-over-year growth as we get through Q2. So still looking pretty promising, and have been really pleased with how the team has really shifted and adjusted from that perspective. And we've actually worked with a vendor to build a virtual trade show booth that we haven't actually launched that yet, but we're going to be doing that in the coming weeks. So and just again keeping in touch with our customers as best we can during this time, which has been key.
So Jim, how do you think about, you talked about trying a series of different things, 10 to 12% of leads historically coming through events. So what's worked best that you're going to continue and maybe direct more budget to? And maybe what's something where you tried it, wasn't for Veeam, and you're going to stop it? And the reason I ask is we're seeing people run experiments. Most companies are okay at starting things. They're not great at testing and killing something. So how do you think about that, and what's been your experience thus far?
Yeah, so as all this is happening, we're actually shifting to be a much more segment-oriented go-to-market team. So marketing has been, and within Veeam, has been a little bit behind that. We've been a little bit more horizontal in nature. So we're starting to shift more towards specific segments. And I think that timing of making that shift has actually helped us to navigate through this better, because we're much more pointed and much more focused towards a specific segment and how do we engage with them. And we're a 100% channel company. So we sell channels, but we have a large sales organization that establishes direct relationships with customers. And we're again, one of the other advantages that we have is we're very well split. So we have about 25% of our business is on the SMB, 50% in commercial, and 25% on enterprise. And enterprise is actually the fastest growing for us. And so having that split, I think, helps us to sort of balance a little bit more. So if we see a little bit of the SMB business going down, we're able to make that up in commercial and our SLED, state, local, and education business. And also we have part of our business that sells backup as a service. So we don't do that direct to the market. We actually do it through service providers. And so that business has actually been really taking off, because it's a much more simpler deployment model. And it just, subscribing to a service, you don't have to deploy hardware, all of that kind of stuff. So that's been really helped us, I think, on the SMB and commercial side of things. But we've done virtual call blitzes. We call them snack attacks with our channel partners. Those have been very successful, where we see within a day we can generate $600,000-$700,000 of pipeline within one day, and doing that virtually. We do these things called V Clubs. So what we've done across our field marketing teams is we've created these standard programs that we do globally. And one are these snack attacks. One is what we call V Clubs, and we get together a small group of decision makers in a group of like 10 to 12 people, and And so we've continued that, and that's still been very successful for us in terms of doing some like account-based marketing with that and getting the right people to engage with us. So those, I mean, those standard programs have really continued and been very successful. Yeah, we do a lot of trialing, and in fact, we're doing that right now with again another targeted ABM type program where we're kind of early stages, yet to be determined. It's I think as you move down into that segmentation piece and really focus on specific accounts, that's where we're trying to build more expertise across the team, but working with agencies to do that. So I wouldn't say there's anything that was absolutely terrible. We're stopped doing that. But I would say all of the things that we've done, I think are sort of helping to build that expertise relative to how do we engage with customers in a virtual way. And in markets like state and local and federal, it's quite challenging because they are very face-to-face oriented. And so that's we're definitely having some more challenges there for sure.
So Jim, as you think about making hard turns, you did a deal in January, right, with Insight, and obviously the thinking, there's an investment thesis that comes with that. Now there's this massive disruption in March, and things have had to change. So if you think about like one or two of maybe the core underlying tenets relative to marketing and its impact on the commercial supply chain, and now you think about what you're doing, when you look out to the second half of the year, how are you thinking about maybe one or two sort of big priorities that you're going to over-index that marketing budget towards?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is specifically around messaging. We have multiple messages, we have multiple campaigns that are going on, but we don't have like an overarching umbrella message that all of those campaigns can align to and have a common thread throughout them. So we're in the process of investing in building what that ultimate message is, and then from there, really shifting the look and feel of the company and to be, I would say, a much more warmer, much more engaging, build more humanity into the marketing that we do, because our marketing has been very successful, but as we transition from being purchased from Insight and transition into sort of a foreign headquartered company and into more of a U.S. You're really focused on the U.S. market opportunity. I think we really have to shift our brand. So that's one big thing that we're specifically focused on. And then the other component is, as again, our plan had literally millions of dollars dedicated towards events, and so we've been doing a lot of planning for the second half in terms of, okay, we have X amount of dollars, and I've been talking with our CEO and working with him. Okay, let's give back part of that to the bottom line for sure, because we want to be prudent and we want to plan for economic conditions and so forth. But I'm also going back to him with some plans on some of our big growth opportunities. So one of our big growth opportunities that's doing extremely well is backup for Office 365. Microsoft changed the name to backup for they changed their name to Microsoft 365 instead of Office 365. But that's a big growth business for us. Microsoft has over 200 million licenses that they sold, and of course, collaboration technology is on fire right now. And so backing up all of that data and information is critical. And a lot of CIOs don't understand that it's their responsibility. It's their data. They need to own it. Microsoft doesn't back that up. And if they ever have any type of human error or issue or ransomware situation, they need to protect that data, and they need to have it for compliance reasons and so forth. So I tasked the team with, okay, for the second half, we're going to spend X amount on it. If I were to increase that by 50%, come back with a plan of what do you think we should do. So we're in the stages of that. So we're going to place a big bet on that business, because remote worker, that's growing in a big way. And so we're batting around some ideas to up that by about $1 million a spend and taking
Yep.
some of that event dollars and putting it into digital activities to keep the engine running.
That's good context and a good segue for this last segment, which, Jim, one of the big trends we're seeing and where we see a lot of people asking questions is, how do I think about reallocating my marketing budget across all of my sales channels, right? And how do I think about what I was doing in Q1 versus what I'm going to be doing in Q3, Q4 heading into 21? Knowing that you guys are 100% partner kind of channel driven, if you think about how you've probably shifted some of your focus even inside different segments of your partner group, maybe talk a little bit about reallocation inside the partner segment that might provide a little bit of insight and coaching to those that are watching and listening.
Yeah, again, it ties back to the segments focus, and what we're trying to do is really narrow down the partners that we go in deeper with, and again have that holistic program relative to call blitz days, relative to call scripts and messaging, and the key things that we want them to specifically focus on, and then engaging into their programs as well. They're outbound out to their customers.
Did that change though, Jim? On that one point, I guess, like, did you guys sort of rethink about your partner segmentation the way you thought about your own segment strategy? So whatever that layout looked like, and then looked at the marketing budget and said, man, our top segment, we're going to over-index and take 34% of our marketing budget that's directed at programs into the partner ecosystem and go here. And before the pandemic, it was, I don't know, 21, just as an example. So I'm sort of looking for some granularity on that.
Yeah, well, it's broken down into two parts. We have our channel partners, and then we have our strategic alliance partners. And I would say in both cases, definitely we're working to narrow those down in terms of where we're going to put our focus, because we were previously, I would say we were pretty broad. And as we've gone down the segmentation path and built playbooks for each of the specific segments, we have our specific targeted channel partners that we know are the big drivers of that business. And again, building out holistic plans with our channel partner marketing team as well as sales teams to make sure that we have that specific alignment. And we've also gone directly to them with a targeted number of customers that we want to go after, and working closely, I think closer with our channel partners from that perspective to help to drive that business. So I would say these individual playbooks and the investment dollars definitely have been much more geared towards that more focused area.
Perfect. So Jim, last question, I'll move to the personal side. What's the habit or the hobby that you've adopted in this time that you are actually going to maintain as life continues to return to normal?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I've been a little bit hampered because I just had surgery on my leg, and so it's a good time to actually be down. But I'm a very active, outdoorsy person. I mean, my weekends are like 9 hours of the day. I'm outside hiking, running, playing tennis, things of that sort. So in addition to kind of can't wait for things to open up a little bit, can't wait for my leg to heal so that I can start to like exercise more, and because that's my release. So it's been a little bit difficult for me because I've been trying to do some level of workout, but that balance hasn't quite been there. So that's been a little bit of a challenge. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting out again as things open up from the pandemic, but also as I heal as you
come back to full health. Well, wishing you well on the last mile of recovery, and as I always say, I appreciate you taking time to share your insights, and congratulations on the success that you all are having at Veeam. It sounds like you're doing some great things.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Good talking with you.
Yeah, and for everybody else out there, continue to move the number, because nothing happens until somebody sells something. So until next time, I wish you good luck as you try and make your number.